Hey there, it's Jen, and I'm here to bring you a layout inspired by one of the techniques that Irit shows in our new class, Custom Made. We both are making a layout to kind of just show you a fun technique that we learned from the other one in class, to just show you how fun and inspiring the different techniques are that we're going to share. So I have this photo of my nephew who is sitting next to a random stranger on this little bench. He really wanted to get on the bench, and as he was about to climb up, this guy sat down. He didn't see him, and he climbed up anyway and just sat there kind of with his head down, not talking to the guy. He's a little bit shy, but I was surprised that he stayed there. It was really funny. So that's the layout that I'm going to create today, and I'm going to use a fun technique that Irit showed in class where she stamped using some packaging and watercolors. And I don't have, well, she used a transparency, but I just have a piece of plastic packaging. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and show you how I'm going to create this. So I'm starting with my Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors, and I'm just painting some circles onto this packaging, and I'm just getting some different colors. I know I want to do pinks and greens mostly. Sorry about the glare on the photo there. I should have moved the photo out of the way. And I'm also doing a little bit of purple. So I'm mixing some of the reddish pinks with, you can see that periwinkle blue. That makes a really nice purpley color. And then I'm using some greens and mixing the green with yellow, so I get a really nice kind of spring green color. That orange at the top, I was trying to make it different. I ruined it, and I'm just going to dab it up and put a different color there. I think I'm going to put some yellow or a greeny yellow there. And so I do have a little bit of an orangey yellow that I'll include. I thought about adding more of a teal color. It was a little dark, so I added some more yellow to it to make it lighter. And I'm just mixing some colors, just kind of playing and having fun. And the good thing about doing it on the packaging is if I mess it up, I can easily just wipe it with a towel, and it's fine. So it didn't make circles like if you use less paint, it will spread less. So basically I did the smushing technique with a little bit less paint. But I think it looked really cool, and I decided to take some acrylic paint that I have in this kind of lilac color and just paint some circles onto my packaging and stamp with it that way. And I really love the way that that turns out and the way it brings a little something to the page, and also some more of that purple color because there are some blossoms in that photo. I definitely wanted to include some more of the purpley pink colors. So what I'm deciding now is that I need more of the paint. I want to cover more of the page. So I'm just putting some more circles onto this page, or to this, what is that called? Packaging, and stamping it down. And again, this is just like the smushing technique, except you're using multiple colors. And if I would have made the circles really tiny, then they would have smushed out into smaller little areas. So that's just something to keep in mind, and something I learned as I was playing around, and you can play around and get a different effect for yourself. So here I am turning the paper over onto the packaging so I don't want it to drip everywhere, and then I stamped it again to fill in the space. So you can see I have probably 2/3 of my layout covered now, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp with the acrylic paint again. Now, it might have been smart for me to wait for the paint to dry for the watercolor paint to dry before I did this acrylic paint stamping down, but the thing I like about it is that the parts of the watercolor that are still wet, they don't pick up that paint, so it kind of looks like some of those circles go behind the other paint blobs, and I like that. So it ended up working out. And also I'm lazy and I am impatient, so I didn't want to wait for it to dry. So I'm really loving the way that looks. It looks super cool. I decided that I want to back this paper on something, and my go-to with bright colors like this is to find some sort of black and white. And I found this paper, I think it's a Simple Stories paper, or either that or Fancy Pants, I can't remember. It's just a black stripe kind of on a cream background, and I like the way that the paper kind of pops against it. And I am using these Amy Tangerine thickers that say all the feels, and there was feeling all the feels, but the feeling was blue and I didn't want to use the blue. So instead I'm going to use a chipboard sticker from Maggie Holmes that says happy. And so my title is Happy, All the Feels, which doesn't really make sense, but I think it's cute and it works for the feelings that I was feeling. So it works out fine. I'm playing around with some of these other chipboard pieces, seeing what else might work, and I decided to put a little sketchy heart above the word happy to kind of tie the whole title together. And now I'm looking at the Maggie Holmes Chasing Dreams stickers, trying to see if any of those might work. I pulled out these Project Life die cuts because they had some of the colors that I was using and decided not to use any of those, but they were fun. I felt like what I mostly wanted to add here were simple icons and words because I want the focus to be on the photo and on that pretty background that I created. I will straighten out the paper here in a minute. Sorry about that. I'm looking through my scraps to see if there's anything I could back my photo with because I just want to give it a little pop. And so I'm just digging through my drawer of scraps. I have lots of interesting ideas for using scraps, and if you're interested in something like that, there's a class called Zap Your Scraps that is available in my shop as well. And I will link to the class I will link to Zap Your Scraps, but I'll also link to the class that I'm talking about here that I did with Arit that we just released called Custom Made in the video description as well. So I found some kind of bright purpley pattern paper and I backed my photo with that. And then there was this paper, the yellow paper from Pink Paisley that I was going to use. I looked at the back and it had this polka dot pattern that had all of the colors that I used for my background. So I decided to go ahead and use that instead of the yellow. And so my photo doesn't really stand out a ton against the background, but I think it separates it enough. I got some paint on my photo, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to cover it up with those chipboard pieces anyway. And so after I glue this down to the background, I'll just go ahead and get my title going here. I'm trying to decide where exactly I want to put this. And I want the words all the to be next to each other and then feels below it. And you can see it covers up that little paint splotch just fine. The happy needs to rest on top of all the feels because they're both chipboard, and so I'm using just some thin foam squares to pop it up just enough so that it can rest on top. And I feel like you can still read what the words say even though the descenders, the P and the Y, kind of dip down and cover up some of the letters. You still know what it says, so no big deal. I'm tucking that little heart in so you can see that everything's centered with the left side of the photo kind of. So I like that. I'm using a white Posca pen. This was a recommendation from Allie Edwards. She uses it to write on photos, but it's a really great kind of paint pen to draw some doodly circles onto my paint splotches, which is something that Arit did as well, and I love that look. It's a cool technique, easy to do, just doodling. You could use any pen for that. And I'm just also drawing some random polka dots, just little dots with the pen, and it looks really cool. You'll see in the close-up photos at the end. So what I decide to do here, I feel like it's going to be too busy if I put the embellishment everywhere. So I'm going to just concentrate all the embellishment onto this left-hand side of my layout. And I'm going to use a bunch of puffy stickers and chipboard pieces to just kind of create a little collage here. So I'm going to use mostly hearts. I do use that little bird and then words. And that's going to kind of fill in the spaces. So I'm just looking for things in the colors of the background that I created. So kind of those purpley pinks, the yellow. I really love that chipboard camera right there. And so I'm adding some black and white in here. Looking through some different things for purples and pinks. And I really like the way that this ends up going. Again, I'm just using all kinds of different things. That Live It Up little chipboard piece is from that Project Life adhesive chipboard package, and I'm adding in a little bit of bright pink because there is a little bit in the top right hand corner of the layout, so I wanted to add a little in, and adding in some greens and yellows and pinks. So I'm just making sure that there is more than one piece of each color. So I have that one bright pink chipboard circle, so I'm going to add another bright pink chipboard heart, and adding in multiple black and white elements and multiple yellow elements, and just kind of tucking everything together so that it all nestles in with each other. And I really like that look, and I think it turns out really fun. So again, I'm just using mostly hearts and then words, and then there is the camera and the bird. I'm looking for something else green. That green puffy sticker isn't quite the right shade. It's not popping like I want it to, like the Live It Up chipboard does, and so I'm just looking for something else to put in its place. And I will find another puffy heart that looks like the chipboard one at the bottom. So it's a little green circle with a heart on top of it. And I love the shade of green, and it works perfect there. So I'm really happy with that. I think end up adding one tiny little heart after the video's over to this cluster, a little bright pink heart to the left of that Think Happy puffy sticker that's yellow. And you'll see that in the final layout. I added some, because I was too lazy to pull over my sewing machine, which is on my desk, but I was too lazy. I just drew some black lines, although it would have looked nice to stitch with some black thread. I went to my typewriter and typed up my journaling. I'm just cutting it here into strips, and I'm going to place it below this cluster of goodness, kind of overlapping the photo and tucking into the little areas there. And so I'm just using some Scotch Quick Dry adhesive in a fine line bottle to glue that all down. And I was having trouble with my typewriter. The ribbon doesn't want to stay in place, and so my typed journaling is a little bit gray instead of black. And I think the contrast of the black would have looked nice here to have that bright black, or like that heaviness of the black, but I think it looks fine the way it is, and I'm not worried about it. I decided to go over to my typewriter and just type up the date and where we were, and I totally cut right into it. Sometimes it's hard to see with that little guillotine trimmer where I'm actually going, but I just typed it again, and I'm going to cut it out with my scissors, and that is going to finish this layout. So if you are interested in this class where we teach you easy techniques, you can just grab a few supplies and make a page. I will leave a link in the video description below. It's called Custom Made. Arit makes some beautiful layouts. We each have 10 layouts, and there are available options for bundles for past classes as well, so be sure to check that out. We're also doing a giveaway, so if you would like to win a spot in Custom Made, then just leave a comment below letting me know what your favorite kinds of classes are. I'll leave the giveaway open until Saturday, and I'll choose a winner on Sunday. So that's June 2nd you have to enter, and then June 3rd is when I'll choose the winner. And if you have already bought the class, don't worry about that, because I can just refund you, or if you want to go ahead and get the pricing that's only good till June 1st, go ahead and purchase the class, and then if you win, you'll get refunded that money. So if you have any questions, leave a comment in the video description below, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.